Hi everyone, it's Jaden. Welcome back to my channel where I share information on health, fitness, and optimization. I have another health crash recovery interview today with Steven. Before I play the interview, I just want to state that we are not doctors or therapists. We're not here to treat or diagnose you of any disease. We're just sharing our own experience and information for your own research purposes. I highly encourage you to consult your medical professional before taking on any health advice. So with that said, enjoy my interview with Steven. Steve, tell us more about your whole, health crash experience and all that.
Yeah. Okay. So mine started really in September
Okay.
of last year. I just started having these like daily headaches.
Okay.
Were getting more and more severe. COVID was going on. The kids were going off to college, and I kept going back to the doctor and I kept getting different information, like, it's allergies, it's, all these different things that were giving me different medications to deal with it. And I just got worse and worse. And by the time I got to December, I think that's when the crash really happened. I mean, my blood pressure shot up, my pulse went down. I ended up being hospitalized. And I got all these different tests. Like I actually got the full workup for everything, almost like you suggest to do.
Yeah.
But it was done because I was admitted, because I was, my blood pressure was like around 220 over 100 something when I was admitted. And they did all the tests and like, we can't really find anything. So your blood pressure's up. We're going to give you some blood pressure medication. You'll meet with a neurologist, go from there. And after I was released, I just started having like these tremors, to the point that, I couldn't sleep. I was getting like maybe 1 or 2 hours. And I remember writing in my journal, like, what's happening to me? Am I dying? What's going on? And so the interesting thing is my wife and I were on our way to an appointment with this neurologist. And I was on YouTube and I was just like I was doing, I was Googling all the time, which is a bad thing to do. But I was on YouTube and I came across your channel. And one of the entries had to do with the tremors and that type of stuff.
Yes. It's a very popular.
Yeah. And I really like just broke down, because as I started watching the different things when we were on our way, I was like, this is what's happening to me. This is me.
Yeah.
These are the symptoms. And so, I went to the neurologist. I talked to her about it. I have a great, primary care, talked to him about it. But I really just started cheating off your YouTube channel. I really was just trolling you and doing the things that you were doing. Like, I changed, how I worked out. I did the calm stuff. I did like, my diet. And I started to realize that this had been going on for a long time. I didn't really understand it. And it wasn't until I got to the point that my body was saying, look, man, something's up. You're going to have to do something about it. That's when the crash happened. So I really started getting better once I started following what I would call your blueprint to improve. And so, it was just, I'm not going to say it. It was really like a lifesaver. I was really in a dark place, not understanding what was happening. And then following your advice, I've really made so much improvements. It's unbelievable. So
well, first of all, I'm so glad.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I have a question. So what did the neurologist say, like when you had the appointment with them?
So the neurologist, like when I was in the ER, I had, and I don't recommend anybody get a brain MRI if they have headaches, because it's a horrible experience. But they didn't really see anything. They saw one thing happen to do with gray matter, but they said, that probably was from an injury or something. So, they didn't really come up with anything. They gave me some medicine to kind of interact or to improve the headaches. But they really couldn't come up with an answer. And so once I got out of the hospital, I was just following up with the neurologist to go back to say, hey, look, not only do I still have the headaches, now I've got these tremors. I'm not sleeping, even though I've had all the blood work, I've seen all these different doctors and they've said nothing is wrong. I feel like I'm getting worse. And so the neurologist couldn't find anything. So it was really just coming across your channel and then kind of figuring out this is what it was. So
and so that was in December, like when it was the worst, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
how have you made I mean, you obviously made some progress towards recovery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about that, like how.
So the first thing, to be honest, seeing your YouTube channel
Uh,
and actually having someone verbalize what I was feeling,
yeah.
that took this huge amount of stress off of me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, I can breathe again. And then I've really just had to kind of follow some of the things that you've done. The biggest thing was getting sleep again,
Uh-huh.
because I really was getting like 1 or 2 hours of sleep a night, which was just messing with everything. My cortisol levels, all those things were all
Yeah.
jacked up. So I really started the day with the meditation. I changed my diet in terms of, the fruits and the almond milk and, granola. I
Uh-huh.
changed my workouts. Instead of going so hard in my workouts, I
Uh-huh.
kind of moved towards stretching and slowing things down and yoga and things like that.
Hmm.
And I've just done a lot better. I mean, I'm not getting, like as much sleep as I probably should get.
Hmm.
But if I'm going from 1 hour to getting like six hours, I mean, that's huge. So
Yeah. And the amount of time that's passed for you, your progress is really good.
yeah,
I mean, like, because I'm sure you followed my videos, but like that the phase of going up and down, like the phase
right.
2, 3 I talked about. I mean, it's challenging. So, but
Yeah.
you seem like you have a very good grip on it. So that's nice to see because, I think the more we tend to get crazy with it, it doesn't help, as you know, I'm sure. Um,
Well,
yeah,
I think I got the shortcut because I do feel like this crash would have gone on so much longer
yeah,
if I hadn't got the information, because I was in a dark place and I didn't know what was happening. Doctors couldn't tell me what was happening. The stress was feeding itself. So I do think that if I hadn't been able to find some information and find other people
yeah,
that were experiencing the same symptoms, I would have continued to get worse and worse, So
yeah,
it kind of gave me like a little bit of an off ramp, to kind of at least acknowledging what was probably happening to me. And then, like I was saying, like a blueprint to at least, hopefully make some positive changes.
yeah. Did you have other symptoms that you had aside from the trembling? And
Yeah, so I had the trembling. I couldn't sleep.
okay,
I had like this really bad anxiety. It was the first time that I actually really understood I'd heard about panic attacks and things like that, but the first time I actually really experienced it.
mm-hmm.
Um, I I just couldn't. The stress was so great. I really wasn't able. I mean, I had to work obviously, but I wasn't able to do really anything else. I tried to work out as hard as I could before. It would seem to make things worse. It felt like my body was literally breaking down. I was getting pain for no reason. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just. I mean,
Isn't it
it was
isn't it
bad.
so funny how it's so similar? Like not just me, but like everyone I talk to,
Oh
everyone I've
yeah,
interviewed, and the hundreds of people that send me. I mean, the symptoms and the stages are so exact. Like
yeah,
that's just what's so interesting to me. It's like I, it never fails. Like when somebody first come and we talk, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna say this, and they do. I mean, it's like I'm like, oh,
right,
he's gonna be like this, and it's not like I knew this. It's just the more people I talk to, the more I realize like, wow, it's
right.
very like familiar. Um, so you're sleeping better now?
Yeah, I'm definitely sleep. I'm actually getting sleep, and I
Okay.
really wasn't getting real quality sleep. I mean, I would just get up and drive around and just, you
Okay.
know, Google all the time and
And
stuff.
yeah, I know we all did that or do that.
Right.
Yeah. And what about your tremors? Are they better? That symptom?
They're definitely better, but I think one of the things that's helped is, and I think when you re-release the video about, the tremors and things like that, I just have to acknowledge that I'm going through it and I
Hmm.
have to kind of breathe into it. So I think actually knowing that, hey, this is going to pass, breathe into it, just kind of deal with it for the moment. So it has helped because it, I don't know exactly what's happening, but
Yeah.
it enables me to calm them down, as opposed to as soon as I will lie down and I will start getting the tremors, I would immediately get anxiety. I'd get
Anxiety. Yeah.
worried. I get out of bed because it seemed like if I sat up, that would kind of diminish them a little bit.
Uh-huh.
You know, I just was like, okay, I can't lie down because it makes it worse. And so just kind of trying to breathe into it and
Hmm.
just say, you know, this is just going to be a part of you for a period of time, and you just
Yeah.
have to work through it. So
Yeah.
I feel like they've gotten better because I'm kind of accepting
Yeah. And I
what
think
they are.
that's
You know,
very wise of you, because that's the hard part for people, because it is so scary,
yeah,
because of the possibility of what they could be.
right.
But I actually have a couple of things for you, because this also brought me even more reassurance and relief when I was in that phase with the whole tremor thing.
Right.
So, of course, I was also afraid of the obvious, the MS, the Parkinson,
Yes.
those things. So I really looked into those and really, educated myself and like dealt with my own fears on it. And time passed, I can now tell you a few things that might help. So,
Oh, great.
so if you were having any of those other conditions, the serious ones,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be like sometimes they come and sometimes they're gone. You would
Okay.
have a consistent, like, something all the time, you
Wow.
know?
Okay.
And it's
That's huge.
and they're all progressive diseases, so you wouldn't get better, you would get worse, like, by the day, the week, the months, so
Wow.
it would be all consuming the longer, like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, oh, you rested, now you feel better. So,
Right. Right.
that's a great thing to know, because you've had it for a while and it comes on and off, and so that doesn't go in the category of those more serious ones.
Yes.
And you're having the tremors everywhere, right? Like different places
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
Yep.
that's another thing. The more serious, especially like Parkinson's and ALS, they start in one area.
Yeah.
So, and it's consistent and it doesn't go away. It's just this one area. So that's also not the pattern with all the people I've talked to on this. It's never the pattern, you know.
Yeah.
So that's
And that
that's
MS Parkinson, I mean, I mean, every time I try to Google tremors, and you've said this, and some of the people you talk to, I know have said this,
uh,
that was the fear. It was like Parkinson's, MS, you know, and
yes.
so then that gets in your head and just makes things.
Exactly. Yeah. And with ALS, which is another one, you would have clinical muscle weakness. Like, you would literally, like, if you, like, we all get muscle weakness because we're exhausted, right? But
Right.
the kind of muscle weakness that's tied in with the ALS from my research is that if you had to lift your arm to save your life, you literally couldn't do it. Like,
Wow.
that's the kind of muscle weakness. Like, we're not talking like, oh yeah, I'm more fatigued. We're talking like you just literally clinically cannot do it.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
you don't have that, and you
No.
would you would be having that for months before the tremor started with ALS, because with the ALS, on my own research, the tremors come because your muscles are getting they're atrophying so fast.
Oh,
That's why
wow.
you're having the tremors. But see, with our type of health imbalance, the scary tremor symptoms, one, it doesn't mirror the isolation of the tremors at first.
Mhm.
Two, it doesn't progress. It actually gets better. And in my case, and a lot of people, like, I don't have them anymore. And
Wow.
then and it also doesn't start with like muscle atrophy. Like, you don't have any muscle atrophy.
Right.
So
Right.
those are really, I mean, again, these are the information I found and combining with my own experience. But it's good to, again, add that onto your reassurance, because
Oh, yeah.
with what we're dealing with, the more reassurance you get, the better, because then
Yes.
you're going to feel better, your
Yeah.
mindset changes, and the rest is kind of just with time and
Yep.
consist. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you, because I knew this is not just a hot topic for me back then. It's obviously on my channel. Everybody's like, tremors and shaking. It's like, so much more views, and because I think people are very like fear on this. So it's
Oh, yeah.
great. Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You
yeah,
know, and it just feeds that fear. I mean, because if you Google tremors,
yeah,
you know, you don't even really pay attention to the reassurances like that you're telling me about right now. You just look at, okay, these are the things that can cause tremors, and then your brain, well, not most people's brain probably doesn't, but my brain automatically goes to
to the worst.
worst case.
Yeah,
Right, right,
yes,
worst case.
because you're trying to control the worst. That's how we're set up, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get you. Yeah. But unfortunately, when that, first of all, isn't the case, and two, it's out of fear, it doesn't help your recovery, because that is so stressful. I was like, oh, he's about to get to the juicy part, the question, that you got cut off. Sorry, go ahead. We're back and I'm recording, so go ahead.
Okay. I was just, one thing I wanted to ask you is, when I was going to the doctor, or doctors, one thing I kept getting was, you look fine, you're fine, everything's okay. And even when I would, give the symptoms and that type of stuff, I couldn't get them to really take things seriously. Until I started to progress, then everything started to kind of crash. And then I was like, oh, okay, something is going on. So I was just curious, when you were going through these different phases, or especially at the beginning, did you have difficulty getting people or getting doctors or whatever to kind of acknowledge that it was real?
Yes. So initially, I went to an emergency room too, the first crash night. So I had a very similar experience with you. They did the EKG, and your heart was okay, and all that. I've shared it in another video. But then when I had couple days went by, and I thought, okay, I need to go check this out, because something's wrong. The first doctor I went to was an MD, an allopathic doctor. So yes, they were very short. It was like they didn't need to hear my, what?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought I lost you there again. No, I didn't. Okay. So they didn't really want much detail, because I think, this is just my guess, the way they're trained, that if they got the information they needed through the initial tests or just whatever they're looking for, they don't, it's like you can sit there and say that it just, but what I went away with was, I thought, okay, well, at least they gave me the clearance on the scary stuff, So it was like, okay, I don't have a heart attack. I don't have a ruptured valve or something.
Right.
And so then I went away and I started looking into different doctors, like doctors that specialize in hormones. I went to a Chinese doctor. I went to all kinds. They all responded different. Like, some were overly wanting to hear all my symptoms, but in the end of the day, they actually didn't have answers for me. I had that too. I think the best doctors that gave me the best feedbacks were hormone doctors. So that they really took a look at your hormones, and because my thyroid ended up being slightly insufficient, so that contributed to part of it, not all of it. But so when I got on that, eventually it really helped too.
Okay, I'm supposed to go to a hormone doctor in March, and I was just, I'm hoping that, she will take it. I'm not saying they didn't take it. I mean, they wanted to help me.
Yeah.
But it was like, everything we see seems fine. So what can we do? So I was curious if you had gotten that feedback also.
That's generally the feedback. Even when they know something, they say pretty much what I say. It's like, it's stress related. You have to change your lifestyle. They're not going to be like, or at least so far, no one's been like, oh, I get it, let me give you this pill, it'll be gone, and you take it and it's gone. It's it's never been obviously that path.
Okay, that's interesting.
All
right, good.
So right now, currently, what do you think you're struggling with, like, the most with this, or are you pretty okay right now?
I think that I don't know, pretty okay. I think I'm definitely doing much better.
Okay.
I've definitely been more open to communicate with more people and friends and build like a positive community around me, because at first I was isolating myself because I just didn't understand what was going on. So I think I'm on the right path. I'm real curious to see how this hormonal doctor, what they're going to say next month. But I think when I look back at some of my journal entries and some of the things that I was writing down, and I'm in a much better place, because it was, like I said earlier, it was, not knowing or feeling like no one's going through this, or not understanding and not sleeping and stuff like that. It just plays so many tricks with your mind. So I'm in a much better place, and I'm real hopeful that I'm going to continue to improve. Like I said, kind of cheating off your channel. and stealing a lot of the information and kind of following that until I can get a real solid plan for myself in place.
Yeah. So you started around September, you said,
Yeah.
with the initial stuff. Yeah. So that's like what, 5 months ish, right? Like five.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you're settling in like 6 months to like 8 months. You're settling in. It's gonna get better. As I've mentioned, like you're pretty much like in the middle of like phase 3, because I think you did everything right. You don't seem like, the way we've been talking, you don't seem like emotionally you're very up and down with it. So that's a good sign, because that's a phase where people get so in like extremes in that phase 2 and 3, and it keeps them kind of in that vicious circle.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I think, because like you mentioned, you journal and you're like a self-aware person, seems like, so it's helped you to kind of move along a little bit more smooth, like you didn't re-hurt yourself with it, so yeah, I mean, that's a good place. I think if you get some good information from that new doctor, or the hormone doctor, and maybe she recommends, or they recommend you certain supplements or whatever protocols, and you add that on top of the rest, the taking it easy, I think with time you're gonna do really well. I mean, you'll just eventually, you'll find yourself again.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I definitely think like being, before I kind of found your content, I was really not open to this type of stuff, because I felt like, I don't know, you just felt like you're by yourself. And so it really helped to open up to other people, and kind of get other people to kind of help lift you up, and, tell them what you're going through. And I think that's been huge in terms of my own healing, just allowing people in, because I really started isolating people out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to bother people, and I didn't want people to know what was happening to me. So
yeah, I totally understand, because you don't feel like you're your full self, and you almost don't want to connect, but this thing is such a marathon. You can't isolate yourself this whole time. I mean, you would go insane, like, it sounds like you're doing really well for,
I hope so.
Do you take any supplements or anything right now, or?
So right now I'm taking like the Calm drink, or I'll take the just magnesium pills and stuff like that. For sleeping, I was taking one of the doctors that recommended melatonin, so I'm still taking that. And besides that, I'm not taking anything. I'm taking vitamin D. But I'm trying to kind of wait until I hopefully get blood work and kind of find out exactly what's happening. I'm really hoping this doctor can kind of point me in the right direction, so that I almost feel like I've hit a wall, and I know I'm missing some things, and I'm hoping this next doctor is going to say, oh, this is low, so we're going to start building this up and all these other things. So
and you're eating like frequently now. You don't go hungry, because that's a really big no-no. Like, people, if they get hungry, it'll cause a lot of symptoms.
Oh really?
Yeah, so you don't want to be any kind of you don't want to restrict yourself right now. I know it's like, I know you're not able to work out as hard, and you're probably a fit-minded person, so it's like really foreign to people like us to like eat more and then actually not doing more. But because your body's recovering, you don't want to restrict. Like, you want to feel abundant. Like, your body needs to feel like, okay, if I need food, I get it. If I'm hungry, I eat. Like, it, because that's a form of stress. Like, a lot of us don't realize, like, if you're restricting stuff, or you're like, oh, I shouldn't eat that much, it's a tiny stress that builds up, and then it could cause you to have the symptoms, especially at night.
Oh yeah, and I was trying to, because I wasn't sleeping, I was like, well, maybe I'll try to work out real hard, and that'll make me tired. And it just exacerbated everything. Everything.
If I were you, I would, from hearing what you're saying, I would even ease off a little bit more on the workout, like, or just do it more frequently, but like less intensity. you know?
Okay, sure, sure.
And then again, like, don't restrict your calories. Just like, if you're hungry, eat something. Don't restrict carbs too much. You know, I mean,
Oh,
obviously
wow.
you don't want to eat sugar or like just like really refined carbs, but you need the carbs like as energy, you know? So um
Okay.
I doubt you'll like overeat, but like you want to like not be hungry. Because hunger, if you're already feeling hungry, that's already stress on your system. Like you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So don't, yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't go to bed like empty stomach, because that sometimes can make you have really bad sleep. So yeah.
So what for you was it just a matter of you doing your own research to kind of figure, did you have like a
So,
you, like all of us have you to kind
yes.
of
So
like,
I was very blessed, I will have to say. And she watches this channel. But so I had a mentor growing up, you know, just a
mhm.
general mentor. And just coincidentally, like a blessing, she had this 25 years ago, or like years ago.
Oh, wow.
And she is like a super tough and wise woman, and she overcame it, um pretty much doing what I'm sharing on my channel. It's like, and she had it really bad too, like really bad. And
Wow.
when I got it, no one, like, there was no YouTube channel really, like, you know, it was
Yep.
like, so I mean, there was anxiety channels, but it wasn't exactly anxiety, it was physical and mental, you know. So I was lucky to have her. She lives in a different state, but I talk to her like all the time. All the struggles that I see my subscribers have, like I had those, I mean, all those and more, you know, and I was obsessed. I was like, you know, in the beginning, it was hard to get myself grounded, but I had to, because eventually, you know, my wisdom kicked in and I was like, okay, if I really want to change this thing, I can't, you know, I just got to be really aware. Like, so
Right.
luckily I did that. Yeah. And she, you know, she told me all the basics. I think I've researched so much more now that I have my own versions of certain things, but she gave me a lot of the basics. She's the one that told me not to, you know, the first three things she said to me, she's like, don't go hungry. Uh, if you feel good, don't think you can do things for a long time. Just like keep resting. She
Right.
warned me. She goes, you're gonna feel okay after a few months, and you're gonna want to go back, and that's gonna just push you back, you know.
Yeah.
And of course, even hearing her saying that, I still overdid it quite a few times in the beginning, you know.
Right.
She also told me about the adrenal part of it. So that's how I went into the research of it being adrenal related partially and all that. So yeah,
Wow. So you were lucky to have, I mean,
I was
she was,
very lucky to have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I kind of wonder, like, people who, I think about this all the time, and I talk to other people because I feel like I was saying earlier, if I hadn't come across you and your content, I feel like I'd be spinning my wheels. I feel like I
Yeah.
would still be, you know,
And that's,
not having sleep, figuring out what's going on, all those things.
yeah, what you just said were pretty much my exact words to her. So then what happened was
Wow.
I decided in the middle, I think it was about like 6 months into it, I said, okay, I was starting my YouTube channel for fitness and all this stuff, you know? And I thought, no, I think I'm gonna just share this story, this journey. I don't know what it's gonna turn into. I started with like just like really short video. I just was like, okay, I gotta share this and see what, and it just, like, so many people gave me good response, and I got motivated to
Right.
do more and more. And it turned, now it's this, you know, and I'm really happy because I know what it's like when you have it in the beginning and you don't know what the F
Yeah.
is going on. Like when somebody
Right.
when she told me, oh, I know exactly what it is, I was like, oh my god, like it just lifted this huge thing off of me.
Yes.
um,
Yes. Yep.
because she survived it and she's okay. So in my head I'm like, okay, she can do it, I could probably do it, you know what I mean? And
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
she has the same exact, like how you guys are always like, oh, you just like, Jaden, you describe it so exact. That's how I felt. It was like, how could somebody know the weirdest
Yes.
that's happening to me right now? So yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I'm,
And I couldn't verbal, like I was trying to say, like, particularly, and like you said, it's real popular on your channel, the whole thing about the tremors and things like that,
Yeah.
which is probably the scariest thing for most people. And it was so hard to find information like that and then find almost a roadmap of, you're probably experiencing this, or you may have experienced that, or if you're at this level, this is what's going on. And
Yeah.
yeah, yes, finally, so
Yeah. Yeah, that
huge.
is especially the internal vibration, the internal trembling. It's
Yeah,
hard to explain because it's like it almost feels like you're overly aware of your blood flow, but it's more than that, so
yeah,
I try to like say the best descriptions so that whoever
yes,
is out there that finds this can go, oh yeah, yes, yeah, that's what I wanted,
yes,
because I knew that if somebody could get that, if anything, they could get some reassurance, and that's like really helpful, so
yes.
yeah, so I'm really
I
glad.
remember asking my kids before they went off to school, I would ask my kids, I was like, can you feel my head, or feel my arms? Do you
Uh-huh.
feel anything? And they're like, no, I don't feel
No.
anything. And I was just like, what's happening? So
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you know, and it's just time. It'll
yes,
get better. It really will. For like, yeah, I have
yes,
no doubt. I really think it'll get better. Yeah, especially if you've already checked out with the doctors and everything. The rest is just
yes.
time, you know? Yeah.
And patience, and patience,
And patience, yeah. And be very
yeah,
consistent. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely.
And you're like most of us who gets this. You're probably a very like achieving person. Am I right? I'm just guessing.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
you have goals, and then when you have goals, you write down your steps to get there. Like, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So that happens to. I mean, I'm the same way. So it's just because I'm pretty sure that people who are more relaxed, they they don't experience like if they get this, they probably won't feel it like how we feel it because
yeah,
they're
I
just not
agree.
as intense, so it's something definitely that I took a look at because I was like, wow, this is an opportunity for me to say, this is Jaden, you have to change certain things, like you're too, you're gonna burn yourself out, which is exactly what I did. um
Yep,
and
that's right.
I think for us, because our will is so strong, that most people don't have the will to push their bodies into this. But because our will is so
Yeah,
strong on like accomplishing things, it's like, okay, obstacles, I don't care, I'm just gonna push through it. Like years
that's
of
right.
that,
That's
yeah,
right.
years of that,
Yes,
it comes out in this dysfunction because it's
yes.
almost like you've used your will in a imbalanced way, and now you're just depleted in so many ways.
That's so true. Because I look back, like years back, I'm starting to recognize there were so many times where my body was saying, "Hey, you need to slow down," and I would just go, just
And you
push
push
through it.
through it.
I would just ignore it and just, deal with it. And even as they compounded, I would just say, "Hey, just keep going,"
Yeah,
until finally my body's like, "I can't do anything more."
yeah. That's
You're gonna listen. So
that is exactly right, and that's what's happening to you. It's like you can't. It's just it cannot be pushed anymore, and it's manifested into this whole thing for you to take a look at. Like, stop, Steven, stop. Like, and not just stop for now, but like stop and rearrange how to go forward, because this box of tools is
right.
not going to work anymore. So that's like the silver lining, because now you get to like rearrange and be even a better, more awesome person, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, get the gratification like you probably get by helping other people, by
Yeah.
talking. And if people, open up, I can say, "Hey, I'm going through the same thing." And just, you know, that's a huge thing to be able to help people and share these type
Yeah.
of stories, it's
Yeah. I mean, I
unreal.
feel, yeah, and it wasn't my goal necessarily, but as it started happening, yeah, it's very rewarding because people are like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I was shocked that like starting like a few months ago, like I started getting so much response, and like people are like, oh, this really helped me in this. And yeah, like I didn't look for it, but yeah, it definitely brings satisfaction. And
Oh
like
yeah.
it's like, oh good, like I saved them having to like freak out more or something.
Oh yeah.
you
I
know
mean, I wasn't kidding. I mean, when we were on our way to the neurologist, I was like I was struggling just finding that one YouTube video. I mean, I mean, I'm not joking. I just broke down. I was like, yes, this might be it. And I mean, it just totally changed everything. It was just like I got to take a breath, just
Uh,
exhale.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy for you, Steve.
So, yeah, I'm happy for you. It's so great to meet you and put a,
Oh,
you
no.
know, actually talk, because I really just wanted to not just share my story. I really wanted to thank you,
Oh,
because you saved this family. And I think about the stresses my kids were feeling, wondering what's wrong with daddy and, everybody around me. So from all of us, I just wanted to also share my story, but thank you so much for what you were able to do.
I really appreciate that. I thank you so much. And I'm so happy that it helped, and I look forward to you sharing.
Absolutely.
I look forward to you sharing your complete success later, which is going to happen. I know it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's just time. Yeah.
I definitely would do that.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any more questions for me, Stephen, before you go?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
I definitely will continue to cheat off your channel and steal your ideas and just use it to get better. And if any information you want me to share, I'm open to sharing anything. So
okay, awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you're on my new Facebook group too. So so yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, no, you've been great. You've been like contributing, commenting. It's awesome. So I'm just happy that you found it and it's working for you and it's helping you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of us are too. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, keep me posted anytime, email me and whatever. And yeah, I'm really curious to know like how you're gonna what your hormone doctor tells you and stuff like that.
I was just gonna say that after I have the appointment and I'm assuming I'll have to get blood work, I would love to share it with you and just kind of share with the path that I'm taking, stay kind of informed. Yeah, I would love to do that.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Stephen.
Absolutely.
Really great.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yes, you too. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, you too. Take care. Take care, Jake.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.